Welcome back to Ghost of Karohar, Episode 7. Without a doubt, the best session of this Symbaroum adventure so far, and one of the best role playing sessions I've had in over a decade. I'm actually going to start with my critique. Last time, we ended in the Greasy Weasel, this big barbarian bar that was kind of created by one of the players. And I knew that I didn't want to play out a lot of bar party breakout scenes with the characters, so between that session and this one, I encouraged everybody to hop on Discord and just describe what their character was doing and what they're thinking about. And through a combination of a technical error where for some reason the Discord thread didn't invite two of the Discord members into the thread, so we had two players that just didn't know this was happening, and an error of just kind of me not defining what this text role play should be and having a bunch of side conversations in DMs that wound up being maybe more interesting than what happened in the thread. It just wound up being very directionless and ill defined, and we don't have a full picture of what happened at the Greasy Weasel that night. So I wish we would have gotten a little more there, but I intend on fixing that in the sessions to come with where we left off tonight, and let's talk about what actually happened. We started out with a brief prologue, a flashback to Magnolia, Gadramon, and Seldar in the days following Seldar's folly. We wanted to establish how this schism in Malima occurred as a fallout from Seldar's actions, and where that landed Gadramon and Magnolia. And what was established through the group's flashback roleplay was that they were forming a resistance against the White Witch, who had somehow come in from the outside and gained Halstor's ear and was now turning the entire city against Rosemary for not dealing with Seldar. And once that was done, I asked everyone around the table to stop the scene and tell me exactly why that resistance failed. It established why they have so few allies, why Gadramon and Magnolia couldn't return. Of course, Seldar is wanted and has a huge bounty on his name. And the outcasts were scattered when they did not go along with the White Witch and the New Order. This brought us directly back into the present day, waking up at the Greasy Weasel, going to the basement with Els, who laid out a map of Malima and said, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't want any part of it. As long as the Greasy Weasel is a safe haven for outcasts, you go do what you want, but I will answer any questions you have about Malima. So we threw down this map, we talked about everything, and the group had a big heist plan session for how they were going to infiltrate the city and get back Rosemary from the carnival. There wasn't a lot of talk about what to do with Halstor or how they were going to attack and kill the White Witch. Right now, the party's goal was to get to the city and get Rosemary out. Now, as one of the players brilliantly put it, a plan is a list of things that won't happen. They split the party. As Tarzo and Bruth created a distraction at two opposite points of the outskirts of the city, the rest of them were going to use the chaos to move in with refugees. The first two to go were Dar and Gadramon. Dar doesn't draw a lot of attention, but Gadramon disguised himself as Dar's father, still using the name Buddy. Their goal was to enter the city, explore around, and see what the situation was before going up the Thane ropes. Meanwhile, the other three, Magnolia, Mira, and Seldar, we're going to enter in under the guise of Mira, a bounty hunter, turning in Seldar and Magnolia true by their names. Um, Now, the first two had a little bit of trouble getting past the witch and a thane, but they were eventually able to talk their way through it. And as they moved into the city, they had some questions. They wanted to move by the barracks, and what they saw, as another player put it, was a coalition. There are not only barbarian humans from Karohar as well as a few other clans, there are elves, there are goblins, there are ogres, there are warriors working alongside green witches, and there are 1,000 troops gathered in Malima itself, not counting the at least couple more thousand that are scattered throughout the lands of Karohar. This is an army that may be very soon ready to attack Ambria. As they move on into the homes, they see that this coalition, this peace and alliance that has been formed in Malima extends to the common folk as well. There are goblin children playing with human children being looked over by an ogre babysitter. And at some point, Gadramon looks up at Dar and says, "Does this look like a people in distress?" And Gadramon's player, out of character, says, "Are we doing the exact wrong thing?" And I have to interject that somewhere around episode 2 or episode 3, my own personal goal as a game master was to get the party in a position where they have an "are we the baddies" moment. Now, that does not mean that I'm casting judgment on them as the villains of this story. I just wanted the moment, the possibility of them questioning if they are truly the heroes, if they are truly in the right, if their way for Malima and Karohar is actually more right than the White Witches. So I got that moment. Goal accomplished. We'll see where the party takes it from there. Anyway, Dar and Gadramon go over to the Thane ropes, one of the 4 ways you can enter the All Thing to see the chief and the keeper. This is a test of strength that could very well kill you. It is a 120-foot rope climb, and the ropes seem to have some minor mystical properties on them. They decide to have drinks for a while until they can work up the nerve to attempt this, and as they make the attempt, at first together, and then Gadramon holding off to cheer on Dar, who decides, "I got this. I can do it. I am the strongest in my village. Maybe this is what I was meant for. I can become a Thane." He does it. He makes it to the top of the ropes and survives the test of strength to the roar of the crowd below, who accepts Gadramon as this father that gave up personal glory in order to cheer on his son. So this worked incredibly well. Dar is now in an inside position with the chief's inner circle, and Gadramon has a front row seat to the carnival as a member of the band. Cut back to the other 3. Now, they made a statement just outright saying, "This is Seldar, this is Magnolia. You want these people, I want to enter your city." Um, and this lie combined with the truth was so effective that I didn't ask for very many rolls. Now, Mira was not excellent in her disguise of this. The Thane and the witch who were watching the entrance as these refugees were coming inside from whatever chaos was going on from the distraction squad of NPCs, was like, "Okay, we're letting you in, but like, we hate Ambrians and you're an Ambrian. We don't care if you're a bounty hunter who brought us, 2 of our most wanted fugitives. You're going to the chief right now, and he will lay judgment upon you." I had written down that there is an inner drawbridge that will take traders from other lands in to see the chief in the All Thing, and I didn't know what the drawbridge what form that would take. So in the moment, I improvised these witches using the quick growth ritual to create a face upon the bridge, a yawning mouth that then opened to a rolling bark tongue that welcomed everyone in before closing securely. And one of the players said, "Okay, that's some Miyazaki shit." And I just have to say, as a game master who struggles with description, hearing one of my descriptions described as some Miyazaki shit, kind of the best compliment I've heard in years. Thank you. Um, anyway, they go to the all thing where they see three individuals. The first is Gadramon's father, the chief, Halstor. Now, throughout the conceptualization of this adventure, the group goal, the journey to Malima, there has been this idea that the White Witch has been whispering in Halstor's ear that Halstor is no longer the great king he once was, that he is essentially sickened Theoden, a puppet. And what they instead see is, I'm going to say, Aomer. Halstor is younger and stronger than Gadramon. He is completely of his faculties. He has a youthfulness and hope in his eyes, and he hears out Mira, Seldar, and Magnolia. This is not what they expected, and I was very excited to reveal this Halstor. However, that did not compare to the surprise felt by the players for the second individual. The bodyguard at Halstor's left hand, a mysterious helmed woman with two swords, who arrogantly sat back from the proceedings until she was goaded by Seldar, at which point she approached, removed her helm, and had the exact appearance of Mira, but a human. One of the players gasped and called this out. This is the abducted child, the true human of the crib that the changeling Mira was put into. This is her counterpart, Rami. Rami is going to fight Seldar in the carnival. And finally, the third individual, the right hand of the chief, the keeper of Karohar tribe, the White Witch, now with a name, Yavra Anali, an elf who is warm and caring, an elf who uses witch sight to look upon Mira, see that she is elven, see her corruption from her blight-strickenness from using her tainted artifact, and see her shadow for what it truly is. And as she asks Mira to remove her hood, not only does she see that she is Rami's counterpart, but she welcomes back her own daughter, the changeling who has returned home as intended. So we had three big reveals. The party is split in different directions, and yet they are more united in purpose than they ever have been. Their plan, while not maybe going exactly as they expected, did work. Magnolia is sent into the pens where Rosemary is being held. The carnival is approaching, but there are 8 hours remaining, time for our characters to reassess their goals. So let's take a look back at those goals and where our characters stand. Gadramon's goal from the beginning was to unite the outcasts scattered by the White Witch. Now, while we have established that there are plenty more exiles from Malima that are living in villages around the lands of Karohar, Gadramon was able to get to Tarzo, recruit Dar, create this whole distraction team, and bring back Seldar and Magnolia on their quest to reach Malima. So I am counting this goal as completed. Gadramon, having seen the new Malima, is now going to have to reassess a new goal for what he wants out of this place. And the dramatic irony of this situation is that four characters got to see and speak with Halstor. The one character that didn't get to see Halstor is the one that needed to the most. Gadramon is going to hang out with a band, not knowing the true nature of the father he was prepared to kill and usurp. Seldar's goal has been to prove his innocence, that Seldar's folly, as it was called, was never his fault, but rather a scheme by the White Witch to frame him and end the peace talks between Ambria and Karohar. And while I'm not sure exactly where that goal stands, the player kind of created another goal for Seldar during his interaction with Els. uh, a very interesting role play that happened in the DMs on Discord that I will not repeat on YouTube. But let's just say that Seldar has come to a new understanding about himself and what he wants and the power he wields. And he is going to have to decide if he is going to be a peacekeeper in the sessions to come or if he is going to seek out revenge. Magnolia's goal from the beginning was to find Rosemary. As we closed out tonight's session, we did not get to see Rosemary or interact with her, but Magnolia was sent to the Living Fortress where she is being held. She has found Rosemary. For that reason, the nightmares that plagued her are now gone. Her pariah burden, in addition, no longer carries weight within the city of Malima that accepts elder folk like elves, goblins, and ogres. She has instead gained the boon of soulmate, and we are going to have to see how Magnolia interacts with Rosemary. I have no idea how that's going to go down, and I'm very excited to roleplay that out. Mira's status as a pariah also doesn't matter here in Malima. She is accepted. They have ignored her Ambrian status, and they paid the bounty for Seldar and Magnolia, giving Mira 1,000 thaler. Now, I talked with Mira's player about whether or not she had achieved her goal of the big score, and she hasn't because Mira is still after the counterpart to the half of the staff that she is carrying. So she does still want that. She does still want to prove herself to this Thieves Guild. But it is completely within reason that Mira has become richer than anyone in the Thieves Guild could hope to be, and could at any point leave Malima of her own accord, go back, and live a life of luxury established by herself in Castor. So Mira is going to have to figure out her place with her mother, with Malima, and with all this gold, she could potentially have a solo shopping session next episode. Not appearing in this episode, but relevant to the party's adventure is Lanigan Krim, who I am now giving the title of Elf Lover. His goal was to be accepted into elf society, and that has surely happened with his interaction with Livway. We don't know where Krim is, but he could still be around. Krim's player has instead picked up the NPC Dar, essentially a red shirt now elevated to the status of a hero in what one player described as every young adult fiction character, which I think is very fitting. Dar is kind of the star quarterback of his little barbarian village. He's very young, very inexperienced, but very talented, and having climbed the Thane ropes, he is now being accepted by Halstor as a powerful warrior. He will get to prove himself in the carnival to come, and preparing with him will be Rami, I'm very excited to see that interaction. Now, Dar's player hasn't made a goal for him yet, and I think that's very appropriate for Dar's character. We don't know what this guy wants. He doesn't know much about the outside world. His whole adolescence was growing up in a village exiled from Malima and the rest of Karohar. We instead have Dar's build: adept at polearm master, a novice medicus, and novice at beast lore, and novice man at arms. He is a barbarian warrior, true. As we put a wrap on this amazing session with planning and execution, powerful character moments, big story reveals, and a lot of world building, I let everyone know that next time we would be going to the carnival. The fate of Rosemary would be decided, and we would see how all of our characters reunite and escape Malima, kill Halstor, side with Halstor. We don't know, and that is so exciting. However, there is something that needs to happen between now and then. And that is why I am adding in an additional filler episode where we get to see how each of these characters interact with their respective NPCs in Malima and how they form their new goals before they reunite with the party. So next time I am very excited to show you the tales of Malima.